right. Hello, everyone. Welcome, Bobby.
Hello, hello.
Welcome, and yeah,
Hello,
Bobby.
everyone.
What's up? This is where we have to pretend that we were not just talking for like a full hour, and
Right, right. And
I
we have
already
to
know
start
what's
off
up.
like
But you
we
know,
just walked into the room.
it's showtime, right? We're a
Right.
little bit doing show business, man. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, today's another exciting stream of Pac-Man music. I guess David felt that, how can I put it? That recreating Pac-Man, repacking Pac-Man. Well, writing new themes to Pac-Man might not be as easy as he made it look 25 years ago.
yeah,
Let's say that.
that's a good way of saying it.
And yeah, I would agree. I think a lot of times we think, oh, I could do that, and then you sit down and you're like, oh shoot. Now imagine it's even worse for you because you did it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And now here you are.
Yeah, it's hard. So here's kind of like, oh, and someone has commented on the new camera angle for Bobby. Yes, indeed, a new camera angle.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you for
changed it up.
noticing. Thank you for noticing. I don't have new cameras, but I do have, or sorry, I have no new angles, but I have replaced some of my cameras with better cameras so that things look a little bit more crisp and clean. Just, you know. So yes, both Bobby and I had an upgrade. So here we go, people. So if you guys recall, you know, my comments about Re-Pac and repacking, you know, I was critical of the Re-Pac team that repacked the music I wrote, and I sort of on the stream I was like, yeah, man. I mean, you want to do a samba, just do it like this, and I played a really cool samba, in fact, and even hearing that, I'm just like, and somebody said, oh, what is that snare? And I was like, that's the doll samba. That's the whole point. That's my drum kit loop. But then I reinforced it. Anyway, I have that. I've brought, I've sort of merged them a little bit in Bedoing Woods. And so here's what happened. I was, you know, after that stream, you know, I thought to myself, yeah, man, repack the right way. And I said on the stream, I said, that I was gonna, you know, I'll work on the boring stuff during the middle of the week so I don't have to put people to sleep on the stream. Anyway, long story short, I did try to do it, and then it just, no matter what I did, guys, I thought it was terrible. Now, you guys can listen and you know, but I just felt it just ruined the whole magic. Of the thing about Pac-Man is, and that music is, it was dead simple. It was dead simple. The production value was good, and but also it was simple. The instrument combinations were sort of where I felt I was really I loved the way all the instruments you know, blended together. And by the way, this, you know, Yas Noguchi, this is where, you know, he contributed, you know, because I mentioned he came to my studio and he'd be like, oh, what if we put a French horn with the clarinet instead of the bassoon with the oboe? Or, you know, he'd make these kind of really cool comments, and very often they were things I didn't think about, you know, and I'd be like, oh, that's oh shit, yeah, man. um, so Pac-Man was really simple. The music was simple. But in some ways deceptively simple, because here's what else happened. You know, I wrote this, you know, and it's like such a simple melody, man. And I'm like, you know, I could do that again. And then I tried writing a new iconic, because you guys, the people who are watching, the fans, you know, who actually want to hear about all this stuff, you know, if the music I wrote 24 years ago wasn't sort of iconic and memorable, and again, this is where Yas really played an important part. because he was the one who said, I literally want people to be whistling the melody when they take a break to go to the bathroom. I want them to
That's
be
exactly what happens to me after every stream. I'm walking around the house, humming it, whistling it, and yeah, I mean, all of them, every time.
well then
So yeah,
then I did my job as a composer. So
right.
so that's what he said. He said, you know, the next day when somebody's taking a shower in the morning after they played, I want them to whistle that melody. And you know what, guys? You know, as a producer, you know, you have to do things to get your people to draw out the best in them. And this is something that Yas did with me, you know. And the fact that he said that to me, and this is before I composed one note, but the fact that he said that, because I remember that so well that he said that, what that did is that liberated me. Because in video game music, a lot of the times, you know, people who are working on the project will say, not too much melody because I don't want to drive people crazy. Well, this was the opposite. He actually wanted to drive people crazy with the melodies. So, you know, that's a very important contribution, no? So anyway, so I tried writing a new iconic theme, and I couldn't do it, guys.
How long did you spend on the original theme? I think somebody asked you this in the last stream and said, like, do you know the moment, like when it hit? And you said,
kind
you
of.
said yes, right? You said like I knew like when I went from ba 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 to
Right. Yes, there were.
How long did that take?
That's the part. That's the missing part, because it was 24 years ago, right? And so, yeah, Pac-Man World 3 has melodies because they copied the ideas that we did in Pac-Man World 2. No, I'm kidding. I don't have any ego, right? Oh, let's show the people the new emote. Oh, and you know what? My supersize is not here. Oh, also the love. Both are not here. Maybe I have to fix that for next stream. Anyway, I just want to respond to some of these comments. So it was simple, but the fact that you made it so bombastic and memorable for tons of fans is great. Thank you for saying that, Dark Yoshi. Pac-Man World 2 melody is something that remains stuck in my head. Well, Yas, if you're watching, we succeeded. Because 24 years later, Dark Yoshi is still says the melody's stuck in his head. So your only requirement, Yas, to me was that they are singing it when they go to take a shower. We didn't know it would last 24 years, no? So a real earworm we did there. All right. So then Zontofo, I don't know if I'm saying your name right. What made you guys go in a new direction for the main theme instead of refusing the arcade? Yeah, that's a good question, and that's another one of Yas's contributions, you know. And by the way, I reached out to Yas, not to put him on pressure, no pressure, but I did reach out to him and asked him if he would be interested in coming on the stream, because he can explain certain details about, like, your question, Zontofo. Right? Like that's a question for him, right? Because he knew the IP very well. I think he was the head of research and development at Namco at the time. And so he knew everything about everything, you know. I mean, research and development, like, you're in it, man, you know. That would be a question for him. Like, what made him decide that he wanted these to be stuck in your head forever? We're going to go with forever, Dark Yoshi, because if 24 years later it's still in your head, you know, chances are it's going to be there for life. So, you know, I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, that really is from Yas and Glenn, Yas Noguchi and Glenn Curtin, who were the two guys that they were my main point of contact. They were the two guys that I interacted with on a regular basis. So, yeah. And so that would be a great question for Yas, to answer. Anyway, so going back to this problem, right? Of like composing music that could be as memorable or as iconic. Like it hit me like a ton of bricks in the chest. Like, because, as you get older, this also happened to many, many composers, where they felt they were quote unquote played out. So, Tchaikovsky, thought I'm played out, and this is, oh, look, people are using our emotes. Awesome. Someone is using our emotes. Straight back at you, man. With a little love and a little bit of Orb Soundworks special topping on top. Thank you. Oh, and then there's another comment from Dark. It definitely will be there for life. Oh, that's nice to say. I vividly remember playing this game so much during my childhood. And the music is something that stuck with me and my family. Wow. For a long time. I would totally back up a vinyl release today. Well, unfortunately, there are some lawyers who just would not get on board with that, unfortunately.
Right.
We respect, full respect, man, doing their jobs, but it's not going to happen. Never. We don't have those rights. I was work for hire. I signed away all my rights to the music, and happily so, happily so. That's generally how composers work. They're work for hire. Anyway, so for me, and thank you, Dark Yoshi, for this. Thank you. So it's really hard. So I thought to myself, I'm played out, right? Like many other composers before me felt they were played out, that in other words, they didn't have any more great music left in them, right? And so, I tried and I failed my first try. So I thought maybe tonight on the stream, I could try again, and maybe the pressure of the lights, the camera, the drama, the people watching,
the audience. Yeah.
Yeah. Like maybe it'll force some creativity out of me. I don't know, but it's hard. So, let's just get a piano up here. And let me make sure that's going to the stream. All right. So, I mean, that is so damn dead simple. Let's do this. Let's get this. Oh, that was me testing.
There it is.
There it is. I was testing it. Anyway, that is not on our main view, which maybe we can add that to the notes, Bobby, to our stream notes.
Sure.
To add those two things. Because, I like to express love. It's important. All right. So, literally, I'm kind of going back in my brain a little bit, and I think I must have said at one point, like, it should be playable with one finger on a piano. I must have said that. Or that could have been something Yas might have said, like something simplistic that you can play with one finger. I don't remember, honestly. I don't remember. But as I'm proving... Right? I know I put a few fingers in there, but you can do it. So, Dark Yoshi, that's a really nice thing to say. Having David come back for Pac-Man World 4, if it happened, would be the dream. Oh, that is so nice. That is a really nice thing to say. I really Means a lot to me, man. See, I'm putting my hand on my chest where it says I wrote the music for Pac-Man. Why did we? I forgot like why we did this in the first place. I think it was because they didn't credit the Pac-Man World 1 people for the music, right? The original time around. And so maybe we wanted to just like prove to the world. I don't remember whose idea this was, but anyway. Okay,
I'm gonna have to give credit to my wife, actually.
it's your wife. Okay,
Yeah,
wait,
she
hold
was the one
on.
who's like, he needs a shirt that says, "I composed the music for Pac-Man World 2."
Is there a story
I
behind
wrote the
this?
music.
Because thank you to your wife.
She was like, he needs to have a custom shirt for the stream, and she was like, it should just say, "I wrote the music for Pac-Man," or "I composed Pac-Man," or something like that. So, yeah.
Right, your idea was I composed Pac-Man World 2, but I
Right.
literally wanted the word music in there. Like it was important to me that music, because
Yeah.
compose, you can compose a letter to a friend, you can compose an email, right? So that's why I wrote the music for Pac-Man World 2. I just felt it has to be like crystal clear, you know? So anyway, well, thank you to your wife. That's great because now we have that T-shirt. We also have matching emotes, and then I have my oh right, it's not working because I got to do this angle here.
The big one.
The Uber epic one. Yes, there it is. All right, going back to this idea of right playing it with one finger, and then I sort of thought like, okay, the chords. Right? There's, one of the simplest chord progressions on earth, and I'll do this all in root position, especially for people who are non-musicians, is the 1-4-5 combination. This is the most common chord progression. Shake it up, baby. Twist and shout. I mean, there's literally, no? Oh, baby, said, oh, we gotta go now. Yeah. Anyway, there's a million songs that use this. And actually, I played it wrong. They, one of the guys who wrote the song actually was explaining that there's like for 1 second, there's like a minor chord in there or something. So, or I think it's a 5 minor. Yeah, so most people play it as a 5 major. Anyway, so going back to this idea of Pac-Man World 2, so I'm in G though, so I'm not on the 5 chord, but I'm just going 1 to 4. This is the simplest chord progression humanly imaginable, okay? And then back to 1. And then I do something called modal interchange, which is I borrow from Mixolydian, sorry to get technical. And then I do the dominant chord. Okay, so if you're analyzing the chords, sorry, I love how this chat becomes a World 3 battleground sometimes. Hey man, you guys can fight, just do it with love, okay? Love. Do everything with love, guys. What advantage do physical synthesizers have? I feel like I can accomplish all synthetic sounds with software, but I'm only beginning. I can answer that like in 2 seconds for you. The tactile response. So this synthesizer has knobs, And the problem with doing music on a computer using plugins is your mouse can only activate one thing at one time. So there's a very specific action of moving the resonance and cutoff filters, and we usually do them together. So that is something I might do with my left hand while playing with my right hand. Or if I'm doing like a bass line in the left hand, I programmed this guy right here. You can see it moving and changing colors. I have the same functions, but now they're over here. So I have programmed this mixer to also be a MIDI controller. This is a MIDI controller. This is a MIDI controller. And this is a MIDI controller for the Virus plugin, by the way. They made it work with the original hardware, which I gotta say, I tip my hats to the community that did that. This particular synthesizer controls every single plugin in the Roland Cloud suite of plugins. So I bought this not for the sounds that are inside it. Let me do a better view. There we go. I bought this literally just to use all the sliders and the knobs. And that's exactly why you need. Thank you, Dark Yoshi. So that's, yeah, I mean, that's why you see so many buttons and knobs and controllers and what do they all do, you know, etc. So there you go. There's an answer to that question. Okay, so going back to this idea of the theory, pack theory. Right. So chord-wise, it's like you can't get more simple. This is a 1 chord. This is a 4 chord. So if we try to sing the melody, I apologize if you have dogs in the room. That's my favorite joke. Wow, that was really out of tune. So there you go. That is the, let me just grab, I'm sweating like crazy. It's still hot in Italy, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm sweating, dude. Yeah, and I got like my open toe sandals on and everything. So it's hot here, man. Jeez. But to be fair, it's also, you know, my room gets hot.
Right.
So because of all the stuff that Dark Yoshi was
yeah.
just commenting on. Say again?
I said, yeah, because of all the equipment and
it generates a lot of heat.
Yeah.
Okay, so I analyzed my own chords and I'm like, this should be easy. I can do another great theme, right? But then I sat down and I think I changed keys on purpose. I think I went to F because as I remember, Bedoing Woods was in F. And it's a key I don't often write in. I don't often write in F, right? So yeah, I was like doodling around. I'll doodle now. I will try to come up with an iconic theme. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I should go to like another key that I never work in. Or use the simplest key of all, which is C. Let's do that. Let's go to C. See, that's, I feel subconsciously I'm doing the Pac-Man rhythm. I don't know. So, because I'm trying to, you know, recreate the magic.
David, how much information were you given on the levels before composing? Like, did they just give you the
I had a build of the game
and the game, or
they typically well, whatever they generally give composers two things: the game design document, and they even had a music design document, so they were already thinking about the music, and a whole thing that described all the sound. Anyway, so game design document, and a build. They give you a build of the game, and they give you regular updates. And back then, you would get a DVD in the mail, and you'd put it in your dev station, yeah. That's the sort of physical stuff you get. But then
Did you do
they're
any play testing?
Say again.
Did you do any play testing with the music? Were you able to
no,
put it in?
As I recall, no. But I think they would add stuff, as I remember anyway. Especially once we got closer to like the Gold Master stage, which is the final, thing that they use to duplicate all the other discs from. So, yeah. But here's the real answer, Zontofo. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Zontofo, because it's your question. So yeah, the details of knowing that the fire, or the butane out of the trees, or all that stuff, the obstacles that Pac-Man was going to face. It's all somewhere in the design document. But basically, guys, I would just play the game. And I remember I'd call Yas and be like, I found a bug. He's like, what is it? I'm like, well, when you do this and jump over there, if you fall in the water, it freezes. And you'd be like, there's no way, that's not possible. And then like, I get a phone call back. Oh shit, yeah, it's right. And remember, guys, this is like from 24 years ago. I'm just sort of trying to remember kind of how basically, and Yas doesn't talk like that at all, by the way. I'm trying to use like an authoritative producer voice, He was great. We really became friends, and we still are. I mean, we're not really in touch anymore, but every now and then I'll just be like, hey man, how's it going? And I guess, yeah, in like August, I said, are you excited for Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac? And today I texted him, I said, have you played it yet? And he's like, I have no interest in playing. And I'm like, yeah, man, me neither, really. Guys, you know what? I still have not even downloaded it onto my Wii.
I was just about to ask you if you even played it yet, but I guess
no.
not.
I did order. I was so angry there was no physical copy, because I pre-ordered it, but then I was on Amazon and then I saw it, and it came up in my feed, and I was just like, what? And so I ordered it because I want a physical copy, guys. There's something about, like picking it up and holding it in your hand, this is, there's something about that. I don't know how to explain it, but, and like I have not done a AAA release in a very long time. And so technically this is a AAA release, I mean, it is. It's coming out on every single platform, every console, PC as well. I would define that as AAA, so, and actually, like Yas was really great as far as me learning more about the game industry, because I would often ask him questions like that, like what makes a game AAA versus not AAA, and is Pac-Man World 2 a AAA? And I remember his answer. He was like, well, I mean, we like to think of this as going to be a AAA, but a lot of it has to do with how well the game performs also. But we are doing it on all consoles, which at the time was GameCube, PS2, and I think Xbox. Yeah, I think it was
Xbox.
Yeah. So, and he sort of explained that to me, like if it comes out on all the platforms generally. And he also told me like it depends how much money is being put into the development of the game. And I won't answer that question because that was actually under my non-disclosure as well. I shouldn't give any details of anything, but he told me how much money was going into Pac-Man World 2, and I was like gobsmacked. I was like, oh, wow, that's a lot. Can you pay me more? I did not say that. Oh gosh, there's so many questions here that I'm not getting to the composing, but that's okay. I'm happy to answer these questions. How much other sound design did you cover? Okay, so I'll explain it like this. I assume many are ripped. No, nothing is ripped. No. So, like, as I mentioned, there are certain sound design things I did that I really, really, really remember, like, very well. Listen, Zontofo, for example, when Pinky in the opening cutscene is going through the bushes, yeah, I very easily could have just grabbed a sound effects library and found one. But I went out into my garden and I ripped out a shred. Maybe I did try and find one, and that's why I went out in the garden. I don't remember, really, I don't. But so, yeah. And the lamp turning off and me snoring for Pac-Man. I'm the only voice of Pac-Man for, until they gave him a voice in 3. But I, that was my big performance of his vocalizations. So some things I remember doing the butt bounce, and I remember doing the butt bounce, and I remember Yas really liked it. He's like, that's exactly right. And he would explain things to me. He would be like, that like things have to feel fun. He's like, when you smash a crate, it's got to have a satisfying sound for the feeling that you're doing, I remember the one I had the most trouble with. Again, this is one that I was doing, was this when he turns into the steel ball. That one was really hard, and a lot of times it got sent back. So, but to answer the question, all the sound design in that game came from David Logan Music Incorporated. That was the name of my studio when I lived in Los Angeles. So that studio employed some sound designers. I had one principal sound designer. I'm not going to mention his name because he's the guy who sued me after Namco asked me to fire him because they just hated his sounds. And then he had tried to sue me, and it was just horrible, man. It was really horrible. Anyway, so I had one principal sound designer that ultimately it didn't work out with him because Namco asked me to fire him. And then I said, screw it. I'm going to do it myself. I'm doing well on music. I have time. So I started doing assets myself. I had at the time, my wife, I had her going through some of those stock music or stock sound effects libraries. Those play a very important role in making an asset because we sometimes use those. So, for example, a crate smashing, like one of the most, every game, right? So you might have something of like a bunch of wood being smashed and you hear the debris, and you might use that as the sort of nucleus of your sound design, but you're going to add something in there, right? So it could be like an 808 bass drop, like that would be a little too heavy for a crate, but I'm just giving you some idea of things that we add. Okay. Scott Gershon, actually one of the greatest sound designers of our age. I did get a chance to work with him on actually Pitfall 3D, but even before that, I knew him, and he explained to me things like every time you hear a helicopter blades, he's like, we just take a 909 drum machine because the kick drum on the 909 has a variable pitch. It's analog. It's not the same every time, right? So it's like a natural thing that you would. So he's like, when you hear it in the theater, and we're also adding like a subgen on the bottom, and but that's a 909 kick drum mixed with a stock sound effect of a helicopter, So he explained a lot of really interesting things to me, and he's a nice guy, very nice guy. So I think Zontofo, I think I've answered that now about how we combine sounds. So we may use stock, like I own, I don't know, I think it's like 400 gigabytes now of stock licensed sound effects libraries that I actually did a deal with Sound Ideas years ago when they started their Westar music division. They wanted, to put out music, and I said, I'll tell you what, I will do a 10-track CD for you guys instead of paying me cash for the license to own it. Can you give me like $15,000 worth of sound effects libraries? And Brian Nimmons, who I also met, because Sound Ideas was a Canadian company based in Toronto. And actually my first boss and mentor knew him. Anyway, I did the deal directly with Brian. Actually, this is when I was living in Los Angeles at the time. And he was like, yeah, man, that sounds great, man. So I got my line of credit. I still have 3,000 left. I only used 12,000, but it's like been, like 30 years since I made that deal. So I doubt, like, he was already old at the time. So I don't even know if he's still with us, but I doubt anyone over there would even know. But I suppose I could just say, hey man, pull up my old contract. Anyway, I don't need any of those libraries. What I do need though is they took their whole general series and they made it all into individual files. I only have the CDs, the rips of the CDs. So they literally cut all those files, and that I want. I really want that. Because I have the license for all those sounds. It's just, right, I have to chop them up physically and it takes forever. Anyway, so yeah, I hope that answers the question about sound design. And again, both Yas and Glenn were very hands-on. They would say, yeah, you know what, the crate smash is great, but I feel there's too much like of a dynamite. Because, we would put like a explosion of TNT mixed with some wood. And then we'd maybe add like, an 808 bass. We would tweak, we would EQ, we'd get everything sort of, just right. And then, I might get a comment like, feels like there's dynamite, fire explosion. It's only a crate, David. I'd be like, but I got a lot of violent tendencies inside of me, I'm joking. That conversation probably never happened, but. All right, let's go back though. Should we go back to this composing?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see if you can.
Can I do the magic again? I also have, by the way, loaded up here. I do have, you know what? I should put this on so we get those smooth cuts. Smooth cuts. We like smooth cuts. All right. So I love it. I just got these new cameras, man. I get to flex a little. Can I flex a little? Yeah, man. I just got these. Oh, dear me, how unprofessional. Look at that junk on the floor under the S6000. Look at that under the TL mic pre. Oh, guys, I'm slipping, man. This is not acceptable. Not acceptable for our stream. All right, so going back to this magic. So if I go, let's do this in C. So very often when I'm writing anything, especially something thematic, I very often think in chords first. Now, I don't think I did that for Pac-Man World 2. I think I whistled and hummed because I wanted to, it had to be, not had to be, but playable with one finger, whistleable, hummable, can't be too complicated. So, okay, but going back to this idea, I very often think in terms of chords. There's certain chord progressions that are just with us forever. And my technique on piano is absolutely horrible. You're supposed to play a chord with your 1, 3, and 5 fingers, and I don't do that because I'm not a real musician. So this is basically Pac-Man, what I'm doing now. So I'm just outlining it in C now. Where would we be? I guess it would go... Oh, duh. I was still stuck in the other key. Um, so there we are. So yeah, very often I will think in terms of chords. So right now, I don't know why, this just came out. I was thinking of like a fun thing. That's a fun rhythm right there. So I might take something like that. And by the way, I already have this other thing loaded up. So maybe inside of it, I can just think about this new stuff, and I'll share my screen so you guys can also follow along at home if you're interested. So let's move this over here. Let's get a little click track going. I don't know where that came from or why. What? Freezing? There should be nothing in here that's frozen. I have a Mac Studio, thank you very much. What the hell's frozen? And why?
Did it unfreeze, or did you hit freeze by accident, or?
I don't know. I literally have no idea. Nothing looks frozen. So what the hell? Okay, there we are. So I'm going to capture that. What? Oh, okay.
There it is, no?
There it is, yeah. I was just looking in the wrong place. So this just came out. I don't know why it came out, just did. And it'll eventually be much, much faster. So there we go. So that also just came out. I don't know why, but let's add that in. Okay, I'm going to capture that as well. We'll join them together in holy matrimony. Now they're joined together. All right, so we're trying to recapture the magic. Now, when I'm sketching, which is exactly what I'm doing right now, what is up with Logic today? All right. I do like to quantize everything because I want my rhythmic sort of universe to be really like locked in. So, and I very often work with a click on. And by the way, I'm imagining this. I think I had an error in my quantizing there. Yep. I love that accented thing there. So yeah, this will eventually become much, much faster. So let's just put a tempo position in here and let's jack it up some just to hear what it might sound like. Again, with this freezing, like I don't understand why is it doing this, but all right, let's let it freeze. I don't understand where this is coming from and why, but it only happens once. That's the good news. So okay, and maybe we want this to come an eighth note later. Let's see. Okay, so now that I don't know why these chords came out, but I guess I wanted to point out that I do think very often in terms of just pure chords before even doing a melody. Now that we have an idea, let's see if I can make some magical melodies here. So we're doing... I like that. Let's try. Oh my God, every time freezing. No, I can't have this, man. I have no idea where this is coming from and why it's doing this every time. This, I cannot, no, I can't have this, guys.
So while
Let's
that
do
plays,
this. Let's go under the hood of Logic here and just see if we can't find where the hell that freeze button is. I mean, oh wait, no, I can't do it from here. There's no freeze in here. I'm trying to
it should
understand.
be in the tracks, right?
Sorry?
It should be one of the tracks.
Yeah, but I went through and literally there's nothing in here that has the freezing on.
Is there anything that's hidden in like a folder?
Track stack. Yeah, thank you. But they're open. Seems. Right. Yes, you're right. Look at that. Oh, damn it.
There they are.
Oh, we found it.
Look at all of those.
Thank you, Bobby. Bobby's awesome. Bobby's the smartest guy I ever met. He is. He's really smart. Okay. So let me play this now. Oh, I gotta go back to the piano. Oh, it's hot.
Do you normally start with pianos? I mean, I do.
When I'm sketching something out,
it's always
generally speaking, I run to the piano. So, and now I'm not going to listen to what I recorded. I'm working out sort of like the relationships between melody and chord. So I got that weird chord in there. Let's try with the click. I mean, this is not a horrible theme, but it's not Pac-Man World 2.
Right.
I don't think it's as iconic, but it's getting there. That part doesn't work. So, okay, I think I like this. That's not bad. Let's see. Be nice if we can get the highest note here to happen when we change to that E flat chord. So maybe we start recording some of this in. All right, we got it. We got it. And what I really should have done, and I'm going to insist that I follow best practices. I'm going to keep the melody and chords separated.
Right.
So let's do that again. So there's a few things I don't like here already. And then this is where I might, I'm going to quantize this also. And this is where I might start moving things around. So I feel like rhythmically, I like the subdivisions that are happening here. I feel like this is too slow. So what if we do a little rhythm? And what if we syncopate? Because this is syncopated, right? Now, of course, not of course, but I will also syncopate the chord so that it is rhythmically matching. Yeah, see, this is starting to, not suck. I worked with I still work actually with this guy. We've been working together like 25 years on games, and he would say to me, I'd send him a track, we'd have a meeting, and I'd be like, yeah, man, so you got my track? He's like, yeah, I did. You know, it doesn't suck.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, it doesn't suck. Okay, well, you know,
I mean, that's a start.
that's a start.
You know?
Exactly right.
As long as it doesn't suck, you have something.
Exactly.
You
So
can work with at least.
So
hey, David, quick question from Zontofo. What advice do you have for new composers?
Oh, dear me. I'll tell you
That's
what.
a tough one, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna get to that one, but let me at least try and finish off this little thing because a little spice is starting to arrive, I feel. Okay, so here's the problematic part of the melody right here. And this is why I start recording, because then I can isolate the problematic parts. So, bum, bum, bee. I want this. So we're already on the B flat here. See, I wanted that interval from the G to the E, but that's not going to happen. Let's go to the F because that's part of B flat. And let's also, let's just get a little spicy. Little spice in there. All right, so we're back here. We're back on the C, and we're landing on this D. So that's, again, that's just not working. Now we could resolve here. Let's see. I think the answer might be here. There we go. You see, it's not sucking, guys. So I sort of feel like this could be a good place to now answer Zontofo's question, but let's have one more listen here. So, and you see, like, this is where, you know, I think Bobby was asking me this on one of our streams about finding your own voice, right?
Okay.
So, and I think this is part of it, right? So that little F sharp, you know, to give you guys an idea of why this F sharp is so important, we're in the key of C. We're already borrowing from B flat. So we have this F is common to both chords or both diatonic systems. So when I play the B flat chord, it's not so far away, right? I'm only using one black key. However, that F sharp, which I'm borrowing from Lydian, with this F, they are mortal enemies. They hate each other. So none of this should actually work, but it does. And so this is sometimes called an appoggiatura, which Mozart loved, the appoggiatura. So, which is basically where you play the wrong note on. I'll show you an appoggiatura. Here we go. So we're in the key of C, and we go. You expect, right? There's our C chord, and we do another. Oops. Right? That's very, very Mozart-esque, right? So we expect, for example, but Mozart would do things like,
Yes. Yeah.
And so, but you see, so this is also where, sometimes taking these ideas from other composers, right? Now, what I'm doing is not really an appoggiatura because right? It's because it's not harmonic. Okay, usually an appoggiatura, that's a hard word to say. And I live in Italy now, so I should be able to say appoggiatura. Which, by the way, just means to lean. It means to lean into. And it does. It leans, right? Right? It leans in. So mine is not really an appoggiatura. So, and I'm also thinking maybe that going up to that G is too high. Now I'm going to get back into writing here because I have an idea now. So the first time, as you all know, Pac-Man World 2 and most great melodies are structured with repetition, right? And the second time through, something else usually happens. So as just a marker, I'm going to, the second time, go up to that G. And see, I'm going opposite now. Let's just see the second iteration. There we are. So I'm only changing one thing here. Okay. So again, like this is not as iconic as Pac-Man World 2, obviously, but I'm just trying to.
What do you think?
It's not horrible. Sorry, go ahead.
What do you think makes it iconic? And I guess how much of it has to do with the fact that it's the main theme and it's what went through all the variations throughout the worlds and stuff? Is how much of that has to do with it being iconic? That it's the foundation.
It's so hard to answer.
Not taking away from how good the theme is and how memorable it is and all that, but how much of it is the, like that is the theme, right? Like, ooh.
I mean, that's such a hard question. I don't know how to answer that. But here's what I will say. What I just composed here feels like a Bedoing Woods rather than a main title theme, right? So I guess partly to answer your question, I think it has to do with how memorable, right?
Yeah.
I think, oh gosh. I don't know how to answer it, Bobby. I really don't. I don't know how to answer it.
From a music theorist, are black keys equal to white keys?
No, they're not. So in general, and by the way, let's answer Zontofo, his question.
Okay.
So just to kind of not go too deep into theory, because it is really quite a difficult subject. Essentially, I'll say just two kinds of scales. A scale that contains 7 notes, and then there's 12 notes. Okay, so 7-note scales are things like, and then a 12-note would be, okay, so these are one is called chromatic because it contains the use of the black keys. The other is called diatonic because there are no black keys. That is kind of like the most simplistic, easiest music theory, but it does answer the question, I think. Yeah, generally we have diatonic, and then there's chromatic, and the chromatic is when you start using the black notes. And as we heard, right, that little F sharp I put in there, that is what is bringing in the character, if you will. Oops. Right? Da, da, da. And that is very much outside of because I'm already using one black key in there, the B flat. And so that F sharp is very much outside of that. And what I just realized, again, and this is like, so it's not an appoggiatura the way Mozart would use. But I realized actually, and it's not Lydian flat 7, but it borrows from Lydian flat 7, which the most famous music theme ever written is The Simpsons, right? Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum, right? So I'm using Lydian flat 7. I'm not really using it though. And it's a really quirky, strange scale. So you see, like Danny Elfman does not own the Lydian flat 7 scale. It's been around forever, lots of composers use it. Jazz musicians solo with it. And Mozart does not own the appoggiatura. So, we just sort of take idea. Like, guys, first of all, nobody can write anything in a vacuum,
Right. Yes.
Right? Like it's all...
We are all a mix of everything we've ever heard.
Exactly right. Beethoven took from Mozart. Mozart took from Bach. Bach was a freak of nature, and you can't really compare him to anyone or anything. I mean, really, it's for anybody that's ever studied counterpoint and had to write a proper 4-part fugue, 4-voice fugue, you get a whole new appreciation for and not only that, he could improvise fugues on the spot. There was just something else going on there. Okay, let's go to the question of advice for new composers. Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Okay, so crash course here, advice. First advice, do everything with love. So whatever you do,
Good advice. Always good advice.
do it with love. My be authentic doesn't work either. So I'm just going to quickly switch over here. Be authentic and do it with love, man. Whatever you do it with love. Hey, look, I have 2 heads. All right, sorry, that's always funny. And be authentic. Okay, these are thank you, Dark Yoshi, thank you. So yeah, do everything with love, man. That's step 1. Step 2, be authentic, man. Don't try and sound like someone you're not. I mean, it's fine. Actually, it's okay. It's fine to sound like someone that you're not when you're trying to find your voice, if you will. So in the early part, while you're studying music or you're self-taught, it doesn't matter. It's perfectly fine, to sound like other people. But eventually you have to leave that behind. And eventually you have to find your own voice, really, And I think for me it happened quite I'm so happy when people are using my emotes correctly. I don't really have a happy emote, but makes you think though, doesn't it? All right, sorry. The people, they're using my emotes, man.
Right,
I love it.
They're fun.
It's fantastic. So look, I found my own voice somewhat organically, and part of it was my first game I ever did, which was Pitfall 3D. And it was just the very nature of the game and the world and the fact that they were doing Oh, look at that, man. Look at that. They're using the new emote. I can't get a word in, can I, guys? I just can't get a word in. Anyway, so I think it was the nature of the game, the worlds, the environments, and it was such a strange soundtrack. Same thing with Asteroids, both those games.
And the fact that you didn't create wave files.
Exactly.
Right? You had to create the MIDI sequences.
Exactly.
That
it
I
was
imagine
all
had a
MIDI
lot of
music.
input.
Yes, it was
Right.
all MIDI music triggering little samples, and so Yeah, and so it was also the use of MIDI that actually helped me become creative and use my voice, because like when I'm playing, that's MIDI also. But the point is, as Bobby said, that goes eventually to a WAV file, right? The MIDI was actually encoded into the game and the gameplay for that matter. So, okay, but getting back to advice, love, authenticity, analyze a lot of music, okay, and copy it, straight up copy it, because eventually you will, when you start developing your own voice through the analysis and understanding of chords, that's where you find the magic in there. So one of Bach, one of his cantatas, I'll never forget it. In C minor, and go up here because it's for soprano. So maybe authentic is there. Then he goes. Oh my God, are you kidding? He was the master. I'm so sorry my chords suck. Maybe I'll just do it with bass and melody to try and at least get something that actually sounds like music. So oop. Damn it. Take two. Killing me. Oh, dude, that kills me. And the thing that makes it so like you can't, I can't actually start talking about this because I'll just go crazy. Anyway, that shit blew my mind, and I don't ever use chords like that. Like they're very dated chords, I mean, you could write a song today using chords like that. But what it did is it opened up my eyes to the relationships between chords. There's like a magnetic gravitational pull, right?
Yeah.
So if we just listen to the chords to that piece, I can't go that high because I'm not a soprano. Anyway, I'm sorry if your dogs are howling. But the point is, there's a beautiful magnetic gravitational pull that binds these. Just listen to the chords, no melody. So, yeah. Right back home. I mean, it's just like next level shit. And again, the melody is simple and the chords are actually simple.
I guess Santofo is following up with that. And I'm going to paraphrase. Do you think people get stuck in their voice? I guess he's saying, do people get stuck in one genre or instrumentation style? But to expand on that, do people get stuck in their voice?
I mean, yes.
Is that a good or bad thing?
I think
Does that
yes,
even-
and I think it can be good, yes, but it can also be bad. I think for
Right.
game composers, it's bad, and the
Okay.
reason why is that every single game is. I mean, Pitfall 3D and Pac-Man World 2 couldn't be farther from each other. Even if they're both like 3D platformers, right? Like they're still so far apart from each other, stylistically, feeling, mood, textures, everything is different. So X-Men Mutant Academy, I mean that's
Right.
that's
Yeah.
like you can't imagine how different that is from everything. And so if you think about Pitfall, X-Men, and Pac-Man, like those three games are so far from each other, and if I only had one voice, I don't think I could have done all three. Now don't get me wrong, I think one of the greatest things about Danny Elfman is you kind of can always tell his scores. Here's where it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Here's where it's a really bad thing. Okay. Now, I think it's good because he sounds like him and he always will. But he tried to expand. So I think he knew all his soundtracks were sounding too similar. So when he did Planet of the Apes, he was like, all right, I got to break out of this now, man. And he did, like in a big way, he broke out. But here's where it's a bad thing. I'll explain precisely. If you ever saw the movie Edward Scissorhands, if you are a human being and not a robot and you actually have like a heart inside your chest, by the very end, you're like, you're like bawling. I was literally just crying. Like I couldn't, uncontrollable sobbing. And I'm like in the movie theater on a date with a girl that I was like interested in. And by the way, she never called me again. But, because she's like, this guy's weak, man. I don't want to.
Was she crying?
No, she was like a robot. She was a robot person.
Okay. Wow.
So, anyway, my girlfriend now says, I love you because you're so sensitive. So I got the right one, All right.
There you go.
Here's the point. If you remember the music in that final scene, he's got like a boys' choir. He used this boys' choir, and it is so beautiful. And the melody, and just like, you're just crying, man. So, back then you saw movies in the theater. You could not download a movie. That was not an option, right? So I remember when, you could rent it, but nobody, for the first time you see a movie, you went to the theater. This is in like the 90s, right, guys? So I guess that came out in 91, 92-ish. Anyway, the first Tim Burton Batman film with Michael Keaton, I think came out in 95, maybe-ish, mid-90s. Anyway, so...
No, early 90s, yeah. When
yeah, somewhere in the 90s. Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Here's the point. There I am in the theater, right? I'm in the opening scene of Tim Burton's Batman, and I'm just sort of like... I felt this unbelievable sadness, and I couldn't understand why. And then it dawned on me. That fucking boys' choir. There's the boys' choir again. So he literally stayed in his voice for both films. Now, we can argue they're both Tim Burton films. Yes?
Right.
But we can't. Yeah. But we could also say, well, David Logan did 3 games with Activision. They're all 3 Activision games. But Pitfall, 3D, Asteroids, and X-Men couldn't be far. I mean, maybe that's not a fair analysis.
Right. They were the same director, maybe. Same team.
Regardless, okay, so Batman was 89, then it was probably the second or third Batman film, because I remember this was after Edward Scissorhands, okay? And I remember hearing the boys' choir and feeling emotional. I wasn't like crying, but, I was emotional.
Back to that.
And I couldn't, it brought me back to that moment. So he stayed in his voice, but that's where it's to a fault. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think that, if you kind of only do one thing and you stay only in one voice, it can hurt you as a game composer, because then you may not get jobs, that maybe you could have gotten if you had more broad of a style, And for me, like, I just see music as music. I'm an equal opportunist, The differences between genre are, for me, quite simple. They all do the same thing, but some use different kinds of scales, some use different kinds of chords, and different kinds of orchestrations. During the time of Bach, his orchestral suites, which today would be a symphony, basically. In his orchestral suites, the size of the orchestra might have been 25, 30 players or so, right?
Yeah.
And by Mozart, maybe 40, 50. And then Beethoven comes along. He's like, oh, man, I need more than that. Also, let me get some trombones and some double basses, which were never used before. No one used trombones or double basses in a symphony. He was like the first. He was also the first composer, and this is in his ninth, that wrote independent bass lines. So the reason the double bass is called the double bass is because it would just double whatever the cellos did, because the cellos played the bass in the time of Bach. There were no double basses in the time of Bach. So the double bass to this day is called the double bass because it would just double the cello, but one octave lower, right? But Beethoven was like, well, this is such a waste of an instrument, man. Let's go independent with that bass line. The cellos can do an independent line. So so for me, I see it all, music is music, man. And so here's the thing. Yeah, like if we look at certain soundtracks that I've done, like those three I mentioned, like they're so different. So if I only did sort of like Pac-Man-y music, maybe I wouldn't have gotten that call for X-Men Mutant Academy, right? Yeah. So you see what I'm saying? So it's good to have a lot of style, or be able to do a lot of different genres and styles. So if somebody says, I need something that sounds like Mozart, well, then I do the appoggiatura, right? I can write like Mozart if I had to, right? So, and by the way, that appoggiatura was also very popular in the time of Beethoven, but he kind of phases it out at a certain point. He's sort of like, let's move past this. Let's do some other really interesting things. Let me just wait. I got it. Let me just quickly finish the point. Danny Elfman was Danny Elfman, but when they made the video game Fable, they wanted the Danny Elfman sound, and they hired Danny Elfman, who was not, I wouldn't describe as a video game composer at all. They got his music in Fable. That's all. So sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, etc.
Okay.
Go ahead, Bobby. Sorry about that.
Doesn't the key of F sharp major have diatonic black keys? The chromatic notes would be white. This is a very detailed music theory.
So look, diatonic. Again, I'll just do this very, very quickly because what you're asking about, yeah, I mean it's a thing. So F sharp. I don't know if you said major or minor, but the
F sharp major.
Major. Okay, so F sharp major. You know that you couldn't graduate from Berkeley, where I went to school, unless you could play all scales in all keys and all modes in all 12 keys. Like you don't get to pass that school. I'm like, do I still remember F sharp major? It's like, okay, yes, I do. So it's still diatonic. Okay, think of it like this. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You can play that same scale anywhere. It's still diatonic. So diatonic is literally just think of diatonic as do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do. They say si in Italy. They don't say ti. So I got in the habit of saying si, do. Because if I say do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do in Italy, they all go, what? What are you saying? Oh, what is this ti? Anyway, I'm kidding. They don't get that hysterical. So diatonic is literally, just think of it as do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. which you can start from anywhere. That's from A. Here's your F sharp. Okay, so you so then the second part of the question was what?
Was the chromatic notes would be white.
So look,
the F sharp major has diatonic black keys. Chromatic notes would be white.
So the short answer is no. Think of it this way. Chromaticism as an idea, as a concept, is when you go outside of your established diatonic key. Our key is F sharp. So outside of that might be the C. That C, which is the sharp 4, is now chromatic. We're going outside of the key. So just think of it as going outside the key, or you can also think of it as just using all 12 notes in the scale, and it doesn't really matter at that point. The other sort of problematic part is that, for example, in minor keys, there's 3 different minor keys. It's not just one minor key. But that's kind of the short answer. I hope. But here, you know what? Here's what I'll say. I'll type a website for you.
Oh, I'm sure he knows. Alex Yard apparently is a
Okay, if you didn't know.
video game music theorist.
Oh, damn. Sorry, it's asking me to log in now because I sent a URL. All right, well, Teoria. Maybe they don't want me doing URLs.
I can just type it in here.
Teoria. There we go.
.com.
I think I got it correct. So yeah, teoria.com is a fantastic free resource that will answer all these questions and then some. It will teach you theory and teach you proper. So that would be my recommendation. Any other questions? Any other sort of final?
Yeah, I think, how did you initially react to Ga Metal's remix of Spooky's theme? I think you did already say that you loved it, but the metal remix of Spooky's theme, I think we've talked about it on previous streams.
I've made my peace with Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac, and I've downloaded all the music from that, and I've listened to select cuts. I think they did some things very well.
I think that was just a fan remix somebody's asking about.
Oh, a fan me. Oh,
I believe so.
I know. Oh,
Metal
so
remix.
sorry. I thought you were talking about that sort of rock track in. No, I commented on it. I said I loved it. I said it was that's Re-Pac. What he did is a real Re-Pac. That's a real Re-Pac. What he did. I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah, I commented on it, and I even might have said, like, let's collaborate on another track or something. Like, I was so blown away with what he did. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. And I was so flattered. That was one of the first sort of covers of Pac-Man World 2 music that I heard. I'll tell you something else that sort of flattered me, like, even more. It's the Guitar Institute of Hong Kong, of all establishments. The music director over there did a live concert, and there were, whatever pieces he performed. But there is a video of music by David Logan, Pac-Man World 2. I forgot which track he covered, but the reason it meant so much to me is that he literally listened with no sheet music. He transcribed everything and then arranged it for like 30 guitar players or something like that. And I think it's the first level of the Snow Mountain world. And that blew me away. I commented on his video, which had no comments. There was some poor guy, 0 comments. So I commented, It meant a lot to me. It really meant a lot to me because he really took the time. That's the point. Yeah. To sort of put all that together. And it was really touching. So, yeah, guys, there are so many people that have now covered or remixed. There's a lot of remixes out there. There's a guy who did it in SNES style, like sort of really old classic style. There's a guy who did a Smash Brothers, like if Pac-Man was Smash Brothers, this is what it would sound like. Like it was crazy. Okay. Oh yeah, it was crazy, guys. There's there's a lot of these out there. There's some that are just crazy. Yeah, crazy good.
Right,
so
right.
yeah. Any other any other things?
So.
So yeah,
See.
my initial reaction. There's not just one. There's another guy who does. It's not metal necessarily, but it's like a hard rock version, and his dog's in the video. It's adorable, and I think he's just doing Forest Level 1 bare basics, but he's like on the video. Dancing around with his dog, and it's, what did I say? Whatever you do, just do it with love, man. And I think the rest just falls into place. I think the problem is when you're trying to be something you're not. Like
Yeah.
So if you listen to my music, it's all very composed, let's say, because I am a terrible musician. I'm just not good, guys. I'm objectively not good at, singing or playing. The singing on my album, which is coming up, I mean, that really, I worked really hard to be able to sing that well. You heard what happened when I tried to sing Bach, okay? I'm objectively not good. Like, it's clear. As a drummer, I've got some chops left, and in fact, piano player I work with here in Italy. I hire him for lots of jobs, and his brother's a drummer. And I was actually over at his family home, and I make custom snare drums because I'm crazy. That's why there's all these drums behind me. Anyway, we were talking at dinner about what if we made a Star Wars drum, or you could make a Star Wars drum, and one side is the good side of the Force, and the other side would be the dark side of the Force. And I was just like, that's such cool. A great idea.
That's cool.
I literally built that drum, but I built it. I still have it. And I brought it to dinner, and they all literally lost their minds. They're like, but we were just like I was kind of joking. I'm like, but that's a badass idea. And I made it. And they just went crazy. Anyway, so the uncle goes, grabs some drumsticks, and his brother is a really good drummer. And I actually wound up hiring his brother on some projects as well, where I needed a live drummer. Anyway, so he brought the sticks out. He's like, play it for us. And I just, did my Dal Samba, whatever I played. And the brother was like, oh, complimenti. So, which means like compliments. And he's like, wow. He's like, you can play. And I was just like, I've been known to play from time to time. So, yeah, I mean, for drums and hand drums especially, I really worked hard, like seriously hard, to get a good, decent tone. So my music reflects that, right? You won't hear like, fast noodling in any of my melody lines. They're all simple. Most you could probably play with one finger. But you will hear lots of hand drums and a rhythmic, like Bedouin Woods, I mean, is so rhythmically cool. Like I can definitely say, without my own ego attached to it, it's just cool. Like it just bing bong bing bong bing bing bong bing bong bong bing bong. I mean, there's some so cool. Maybe that's what I think I might have subconsciously done. Oh shit. No, I did not lift it from Bedouin Woods. Okay, good. I'm glad I didn't lift it from Bedouin Woods. Okay, anyway, I think it's probably around that time, yeah?
Right. Yeah. I think we've answered all the questions.
Yeah, man.
I think we're good.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you all so much for another great stream. I hope that this has been enlightening, and I hope you got the answers, especially for young composers. Oh, I forgot. Literally the most important part. Never give up.
Ah,
If you
right.
if you ask
Right.
any successful person what is the secret to their success in any industry, almost always they will say, "Oh, look at that! Oh man!" But you don't have the orb logo. They will always say, "Sorry, I got to respond." Same thing, but with orb love. Oh, I'm in the wrong place. There we go. They will always say, just never give up, no matter what happens. Doesn't matter their business. Never give up. There will be times when you will feel like you have no talent. This is garbage. I'm a loser. I've got nothing. These are all things I said to myself, all things I thought about myself. And if you succumb to that negativity, eventually you'll give up. And failing, only occurs at that moment when you give up and you say, I can't be a composer. I'll just stick to my job as an accountant. Then yeah, you have failed. Why? Because you removed from the equation every single possibility. Now, in my particular case, and this is part of the reason I succeeded, because literally for 30 years, I've made 100% of my money from a small percentage from teaching, but the majority is from my music. So I would not say that I failed in music. Okay. I also wrote Pac-Man, damn it. In my particular case, I removed failure completely as an option. I had no choice but to succeed. I had to succeed because I literally suck at everything. I'm terrible at math. I could never be a programmer. I don't have that brain. I'm literally bad at everything. I'm good at communicating, I think, and that's partly why when I teach, it can be engaging for my students, and I love doing it. I love doing it. Do it with love. Do everything with love. I got to add the big love, man. I need that big love. We got to get that on this view, Bobby. That's like, actually, maybe we stick around 2 minutes after and you can help me with that, maybe.
Sure.
Because Bobby he's the smartest guy I know. Anyway, don't give up. David, you should check out the Discord. They've been doing some great remixes there. Are you serious? I'm so bad with Discord, guys. That was set up.
Yeah, me too. I never could.
I'm terrible. And thank you for saying that. I'll say again, if anybody wants to get involved in what we're doing here, please reach out to us through the Orb Soundworks website, because we should be taking these remixes and putting them on, somebody's YouTube channel. Everyone can put it on theirs, and then maybe I link it and make a playlist, because that's what I've done. I made a private playlist, but I think I might have published it on my web on my YouTube page.
I think you did, actually.
Yeah, I think I did. So if you guys want to see some great Pac-Man music, including the guitar arrangement, go to my David A. Logan Music. That's the official name, Bobby. Is that it? Yeah. David A. Logan Music on my YouTube channel there. And check it out, man. But yeah, I will go on the Discord. And you know what? I should be on that Discord more. I'm sorry, guys. What a terrible human being I am. Now I'm sad. Somebody send me some love emotes quickly. All right. I made myself feel better. I sent the emotes myself. All right, guys. I think that's it for tonight. So thank you again all for coming. And like I always say, I do think the purpose of life is to find some purpose in life. And I think the meaning of life is to find some meaning in life. Thank you all again, and we'll see you next